Nick, you're there. You're all set?
All set, Nancy. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll open the meeting for Monday, January 6th at 7 o'clock. Keith won't be here because his father passed away on Friday. So we send the condolences to his family. And I'd also like to send condolences to the family of Elliot Taubman, who passed last week. Elliot, who was a longtime resident, friend, and advocate for the town. He will be missed. Public comment? No. Okay. In the consent agenda, I simply wanted to make a comment on we have a report from the Health Services. And is it possible to schedule a meeting with them at some point at their convenience? Is anyone else interested in having a meeting with? Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Good. So can I have a motion to approve? the
I have a question
Oh.
on the minutes. Millie, I just, I had abstained on the appointments. Emergency management director.
Which set?
Yeah, on the 18th, Wednesday, December 8th. I know there was a section I had stepped out on and then. So I just wanted to make sure it reflected that, and I didn't quite see it. Under emergency management agent directors.
Would be ordered to remove I from this and then correct it.
At this point, yeah, we can just make it, you can just tell us
Yeah.
what you want to do to change it, and I'll.
Just note that what I had, and I think it's off of the paper I put in with you anyhow, so on that, I'm fine with it, thank you.
Okay, very good.
So is there a motion to approve with that change to the 18th minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
All in favor?
right,
Okay. Appointments for the board, commissions and committees. The Building Committee for Public Safety Complex. We did appoint one member at the last meeting, and I understand that it's actually two members of the public that should be appointed. And
So we still have two.
There's still two vacancies. There was a total of three total, and we appointed one with Doug Michelle. So
okay.
there's still two vacancies.
Do we have any requests? Anyone?
We have one from Arlene Tooney, and that's the only one that I've seen at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Arlene. She sent in a letter, she's expressed that she has experience in this field.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
right,
Aye. And then for the public's knowledge, there is one more slot available on the Building Committee for the Public Safety Complex. And if you're interested, just send your letter into Millie. And again, the vacancies that we announce at the beginning of the meetings now. The Commission on Motor Vehicles for Hire, one, not a licensee. Sewer Commission, two alternate positions. Those are 1-year positions. Water District, two alternate positions, 1-year terms. Coastal Resilience Committee, Juvenile Hearing Review Board. Tree Warden, which requires a licensed arborist. And the Building Committee for Public Safety Complex. Oh, that's what the one we just said.
we just went over that.
Yeah, right.
It's just doubled up.
All right. And discuss and act on the deer hunting dates for the town property, Plat 20, Lot 20, which we do every year. The dates are there. Does anyone have any comments on it?
It's Chris.
I was gonna say, no, explain.
I'm wondering, like, can we add dates? Could we add weekend dates to that piece of property, or would that have to be advertised at this point in time?
I think that would be part of a bigger discussion at some point, because that is that's on the coastal part of the Great Salt Pond that is utilized. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but
I'm thinking the same way you are, Nancy. There's too much activity in there with the clamming and such and people walking around the inner basin. So I'm against weekend hunting in that area. The only thing I'd add to this is that it's just properly placarded on all town access points, Mosquito Beach, West Beach, in and around any public points. That
Right.
there's hunting on those dates.
and I would add that we make sure that advertisements go in the newspaper the Friday before it starts in January. So that would be in the January 17th paper to be sure. And then on the 31st for the start of the February. And then I think we ran them every week during that whole hunting just to alert everyone. And it wouldn't hurt to put it on the bulletin board.
Last year they added a much larger sign at the entrance. Is that something that we could have the police chief do again?
Yes,
Okay.
at the entrance.
At the
To- at the
entrance
north.
to sort of like to Bean Point
Yeah.
from West Beach Road.
Mhm.
Because a couple years ago, it was just like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that wasn't very visible. So I'd like to stay with the improved sign if,
And
They can do that.
I misspoke. I think I said Mosquito Beach. I meant to say Andy's Way. So we need multiple signage.
right.
And let's make all of them fairly large and legible.
Millie, are we clear on this, the dates that are written? There's no weekends or anything now. There's no holidays. Okay, and everything's been checked with kids out of school and such? School holidays?
Holidays, I think, do fall under that period of time. With the dates that are there have the dates that have been historically been approved.
Okay,
But we can certainly eliminate the holiday, but I'll check that right now. The holiday is the 17th through, oh, wait. That's January, sorry. No, I was looking at the January dates and thinking they were February. You're all set.
clear. Okay,
That's
I
all
make a
clear.
motion to approve the dates.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Let's see. Okay, discuss and act on amendments to the Transportation Safety Committee resolution. I had asked that this be put on because we were putting together a Transportation Safety Committee. And technically, when we do committees, we never did resolutions. We always just set up the committee and put together a charge. We can put this off, I think, until Wednesday night when Keith is here, because he originally drafted this resolution, and I think it's just too focused on mopeds. And we were doing a broader transportation committee study. So I'd like to, at that time, maybe on Wednesday night, delete this committee resolution and just create a committee with a charge.
I'm just concerned about the timing on Wednesday. I think that we'll be pushing it off to the 15th, Wednesday, the 15th.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, just because
That's
we don't
right,
have,
yeah, for 48
posted.
hours.
thank you.
So can I have a motion to move this
Second.
item to the 15th?
Yeah, so moved.
Second,
second,
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Discuss the potential town manager search.
yeah, on this, I'd like to see if we couldn't have a meeting. Let me back up. I think originally we talked about having this in January, back when we did we appointed the
The interim?
interim. What I'd like to see us do is to schedule a meeting with the interim next month so we can do a midway review. I think that'll be about 3 months of the 6. Midway review of all job performance. And I think after that, it will give us a better, I think that will give us a better understanding of how things are going, where we are in the direction. And then we can regroup as to how we're going to proceed with our search.
think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Can we do that on the 3rd? Unless we can squeeze it into January, the 15th.
And I would ask also, Amy, if you're comfortable with that. I think, this is it's a two-way street. We want communication to flow back and forth. And, if you think we need a little more time to have that meeting, but I think we should schedule it.
No, I'm amenable to scheduling that meeting. I'm a little concerned about the density of the 15th, so I'm just taking a quick, quick look to see what else we've got.
we've got the
Uh,
3rd and the 5th in February, the beginning of February. Well, we were going to do something in a week or so, right? What did we talk about?
Legislative agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I think we can fit it on the 15th.
And Millie, what my hopes was that we could post that as initially, a closed meeting subject to, checking, exactly, subject to obviously, Amy. Yep, exactly.
And the clerk's office will take care of notifying Amy.
Yeah.
Right, that whole thing. Okay. We don't need a motion for that, do we? Just, that's what we're gonna do.
No, I think so.
Discuss and act on salary stipends for officials. I'm not sure why this is here.
Okay. I'll give you a little, just a smidge of background. When Mona, or when Amy took over as interim, and we're working with Mona to notify the members who were recently elected as to what their stipends were. Mona pointed out that there isn't anything in writing that we could find. We had no record. I did check a number of years back through council minutes. I was unable to put my hands on them. So I think what we're asking is for you to just ratify the rate so that we have a record of them. And additionally, you may want to consider changing them or not. There's a couple of items, like with the Board of Assessors, you'll see that there's one fee of $1,100 that's split between the 3 members. You may be comfortable with that. You may want to change the format of that. So just something for you to look at and then to determine so we can have accurate records.
Is this something we have to do at this meeting? Or, I mean, so
No.
Board of Assessors in particular was the one that stuck out to me. Not that I think I'm overpaid, by the way, I'm not, but, but for the amount of time this takes. But Board of Assessors, that just seemed awfully low for the amount of time that they put in and the amount of like driving and wading through the mud that they have to do. So is that something that we would be, like, you should talk to them about? We should talk to them about? How should we go about that?
In terms of identifying what a new rate order could be. I don't know that the town's been through that exercise in quite some time, so I can look at other communities. If you're interested in a comparison, we can talk to them about the number of hours they feel like it is in terms of the commitment. We can go a couple different ways if you're inclined to look at it, what a new number might be.
I'd be interested in the amount of hours that they put in for this. I believe it's quite a few. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. You can put something together in Mona.
There's 3
Yeah.
of them?
There are 3 and they're elected.
On the, I'll address on the EMA, for the longest time, just, I don't know where the 700 ever came from. I think, I don't know if it was a matter of in case, you know, you got hurt when you were working, you're as an employee, I'm not quite sure. For the longest time, I don't remember it being anything. But, it's one of those positions that, you know, the hours don't match up from that. I think that it's a volunteer position. I have no problem with it being 0. But I certainly wouldn't be looking to see that, increased.
I mean, I think you have to leave some stipend in
Sure.
place, right? Because I remember I was on the Board of Canvassers for a while, maybe 10 or 12 years, and I had to hire a lot of babysitters to watch my kids while I came to work the polls or go to meetings or whatever. So that money came in handy. So you never know like who's going to
Sure.
be in the position.
I don't have objection to it. I'm just saying in general, it was just like an arbitrary number that, you know, there's a fence viewer, does that, you know, and so forth. So I don't, you know.
It was what, 750 or
Yeah, Pete and I split the. we split-
750? Yeah.
No,
700.
700.
And to my knowledge, none of these have been changed since I've been with the town. I
Yeah.
believe these have all stayed the same. So
Yeah,
we're
long
going
time.
on 20 years
Yeah.
without a context, which is what we're
Well,
trying to
when
resolve.
I was on Board of Canvassers, we made 750. But I don't know when that was. So it's been a while.
Would it be simplest to leave, motion would be in order for everything but the Board of Assessors after that's reviewed?
I'll second that.
And Molly, Millie, since this is 2016, I believe I can vote on this, correct?
Yeah, 2026. Yeah, yeah, that's fine, right?
No, it's 2025.
Yeah, 25. But it would take effect on, if there were a change, it wouldn't be taking effect until 2026.
And because there's no changes, we can all, as first warden, second warden, and councilors vote. So, is there any further discussion? And you'll bring back to us information for the Board of Assessors? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do you want us to go through those numbers so it's in the minutes, or can you just take from what it was as documentation now?
I believe that that was included in, and it wasn't included in the agenda item. It was attached, you know, as, and it
Right.
will be included in the minutes, completely
Oh,
broken
okay.
out. So
So we're all
as
set there.
part of your motion, actually.
Okay.
Correct it if you want, well.
Okay. And the last item is the budget agenda hearing schedule, which it's hard to object to it now. My only concern is that the first meeting, when the budget is presented, that's always tough at the end of a long agenda or something, you know, I'd rather have that be kind of a standalone to give everyone time, whether it, or just a very light agenda that it's attached with, if you could just keep track of that.
It is part of a regular meeting.
Right.
And so I think we don't go very much into detail. We don't have anyone here generally in the audience. It's just maybe a 5 or 10 minute introduction. Manager's letter usually comes with it, but we don't traditionally get into any detail.
Any detail.
Yeah.
But I've always seen it as kind of at the tail end of something.
So
you know,
early, we can do that earlier in an agenda,
In
but it
the
is part of a full meeting.
Yeah, exactly. And just make sure that meeting agenda isn't overloaded so that it-
Which meeting is this? When you're
the,
referring to?
the very first one, it's March.
March
19th.
So that's the one you're saying, where you give an overview? And so we don't really give a lot of detail. You kind of give like a snapshot of what you're looking to go forward with at that point.
Yep, high level, actual delivery of the budget, but not a lot of pencil work.
Okay, and then the next ones is where we kind of
When
fine
we-
detail them out by how you have them separated out.
Exactly, yep.
St. Joseph's Day. So somebody bring the Zeppelis.
Amy, just for my edification, I remember where the planning board used to be involved with CAP, correct? Has that changed? Is there a different?
Well,
Yep.
let me tell you what it is, and you can tell me whether it's different than what you
Okay.
think. Because we've actually already completed the planning board process for this year. The planning board, let me actually go back one step further. We did amend the ordinance a couple of years ago. And now all department submittals come directly to the town manager, who aggregates the capital plan, presents that to the planning board. We did that in December. The planning board reviews and then sends a letter indicating that it's in conformance with the comprehensive plan and all the ordinances. They did agree. And so the capital plan as presented will then be incorporated into the capital and operating budget. So planning board has reviewed it. And what's different is that the manager aggregates all of those department submittals rather than the planning board doing that work themselves and sort of doing all the hearings that they used to do.
So would it be fair to say that the town manager's office is setting the priority on it and then passing it to the planning board? And they're saying, yes, it fits within?
I think when we're careful to make the plan, because it's the plan and not the budget yet, it
Right.
doesn't have to be balanced. We're trying to reflect all of the needs and the asks, and sequence them as appropriately as possible without necessarily getting to that final priority list. There are still things that will be prioritized and therefore come off or be reshuffled when it's integrated into the final budget that you see.
So this isn't, so what they're doing isn't done by finance, what's available to put in. They're saying, in a perfect world, this is what we need to do and how we plan it out. And then it sifts its way down where it gets more allocation based on budget.
More allocation based on budget,
Okay.
yes. They're reviewing for completeness with the comp plan
Yep, that makes sense.
and completeness with the ordinances. And because they've been doing it for so long, it's also helpful with their planning hats on to identify if we've missed anything or major areas that we've been talking about as a community that maybe aren't reflected in the numbers.
So they're not taking things in and out based on what it's gonna cost.
No,
They're taking it based on what the needs are of the community, how they see it.
that answer your question?
No, that makes it clear.
And is there a piece of that ordinance, am I correct, that says that, unless it has gone through that planning process, it's not supposed to be in the budget?
Probably says that, but let me look it up first. That's a nuance in the language. It'll just take a minute. I don't see that it explicitly says that. Obviously, I'm doing a quick
Yeah.
reread. Certainly, the implication by having an ordinance is that everything is going through the ordinance process. And it is careful to talk about major capital items that should be submitted in two stages, a stage for planning and a stage for work. And the allowance for a combined request where the town, when timing doesn't allow a two-stage. But it does, it would suggest that everything should go through the capital planning process without explicitly saying so.
And is it possible for us to get a copy of the capital plan?
Sure. I'll send it around, as long as everyone understands that that is the plan that went to the planning board, and we have another step before it gets integrated into the budget. Yeah.
Right.
But I'll send around the capital plan and the ordinance as well, so that everyone can see that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
The one other question I had was, we had two budget hearings. I guess the first major one after the 15th is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then there's one at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the following week. Has there been any discussion about putting them at night? You know, not necessarily 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, because there are people that, you know, might not want to sit in on Zoom, but want to come.
Some of the issues with the scheduling had to do with the meeting room being available and conflicting with other other boards and committees. The Wednesday, the 26th is a zoning meeting. Granted, their agendas are lighter these days, but I don't know if we can't guarantee that they won't have a meeting that night.
I think we get a different crowd in the afternoon though. So, you know, department heads can come right from working and, I don't know, people who are, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just tossed that out. I don't know how anyone else feels.
Valid point. But we don't have the room. That's what you're saying, Millie. That's what it
Exactly.
comes down to.
No space.
We have what we have. All right, so does this need approval tonight or is this just a review?
Amy, do we need to vote on this, or is it just for informational purposes?
No, I don't think they need to vote. I sometimes in recent years, we've had to amend it because of
Yeah.
travel plans, so I would ask that you look at your plans earlier so that we can shift
Whatever. we
as soon
need
as
to.
possible if we need to.
Okay,
I put all of these in and they didn't have there was no conflict, so these were good. Yay.
What, you said it's at 3 o'clock on March 26th?
Sixth, yeah.
Is that because of conflict?
That was the zoning?
The zoning, probably at 7.
I'm not sure. Sometimes I've been doing 6 and 5. I think they've been a little bit of a moving target. I'm not sure.
In general, I prefer meetings at least 4 o'clock. I think that, I have a work schedule, I know several other people here do also. Well, when it is possible, if ever adequate for me. Plus, I think that, while a lot of the public doesn't show, I want to be on that, from our end of it.
Do you want me to try to find a better time for that or a different date or time for that? Is that what you're asking?
No, I just
No.
think when we schedule in general, just to say, when we schedule in general, when we can make these meetings, and I know like with, 10 o'clock today, coming over there, those exceptions, but as a general rule, that we can keep them, more towards the evening or so people can attend. And I get it, there's exceptions to everything. Just appreciate the effort, thoughts. Thank you.
and that's it. I have a motion to adjourn, unless you have anything to add.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Right.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Oh.
Aye,
Thank you, Millie.
we are adjourned.
Amy?